exhausted, just so freaking tired. And like for me, the hallucinations really hit when it's like perfectly dark and you can't really see anything and you just have like the beam of light that you're just following. There's like not all that much to like hallucinate about, right? But like once you can actually see things, that's where like the hallucinations get really crazy because your mind and your eyes start playing these tricks on you where it's like, what is that bear? What is that monster doing there? Right? It's like any tree stump, anything turns into other things. But this time it was different, where those had been like the previous hallucinations. This time it was like these swirls of color, right? And so like out of the trail, I would just see this swirling mist of red, and it would like gather and spin and spin and spin, and then come flying up at me up the trail, and I would like duck underneath these mists. I just tripping, right? And I have never really done any psychedelic drugs or anything like that. I don't know if it's anything like that at all, but I don't, I, it's so weird because like I like getting to the point where I've pushed my body so far that I start to hallucinate. But at the same time, it's also like freaking terrifying because you just like, in a way, you just like lose control, right? Where so much of bike pack racing is about just like being in control of as much as you can. And when you reach that point, you just feel so vulnerable because you're just so freaking tired. Um, Sun continues to come up and it's like sand dunes, right? I am on the outskirts of it's Great Sand Dunes National Park in central Colorado.
Yeah, like right
So like
outside of
the
Alamosa.
yep, the massive sand dunes. And I had no
Yeah.
idea that the course like went not through the sand dunes, but essentially next to the sand dunes. And so for maybe an hour and a half, I was just pushing my bike through the sand. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Where am I?
Yeah, where am I? And
Because
it's the
yeah,
actual, it's the intro for my own podcast, which is the Bike Pack Racing
hmm
podcast. And that is the intro of me. And I was like, I don't even remember taking the video, but it's an Instagram video where I pull out my phone and I'm like, I have another 40 miles to ride. Like, what is like, how am I going to do this? Because I was so destroyed. Like, I had no water, nothing left. And I don't know if this was like my toughest day on the bike, but like those few hours felt like an absolute lifetime. Like, it's the sort of experience where it's like cliche to say, like, oh, this like changed you. There's no way for you to like go through, these crazy hallucinations, this hour and a half hike a bike downhill through sand, and then finally you hit pavement, and I ride the pavement oh so slow into Alamosa to win my first bike packing race, right? And so in this instance, it was like so ridiculously hard, but it was also like the first time I had won a bike race in years. And it was
hmm
like the culmination of so much hard work and so much failure at other races. Like that still is like a ridiculously special one for me. So yeah.
So that's like um bittersweet.
Yes,
Yeah,
bittersweet,
like
bittersweet. So I don't know
complete.
if that was the toughest. I've had some pretty terrible days on the bike that like
Yeah,
they're just like not even worth remembering, right? It's
I know.
it's the famous like alp or like alpine climbing quote that the best alpinists have a short memory. Exact same thing for
Totally.
bike pack racing. It's like you have an absolute terrible day. You're not even a terrible day. You have an absolute terrible 5 minutes. You need to let that go, reset, and keep on going, right? And
hmm
that's a skill that you pick up in bike pack racing where and bike packing and in just bike racing in general, but it's like amplified the longer the event goes, is that you just need to reset constantly. You're just constantly resetting. You can't reset at the end or start of every day. It has to just be this constant thing where it's like, oh, this went to shit, but guess what? I need to keep on riding. Oh, this went terribly. Oh, I just had a flat tire. Oh, I ran out of food. Oh, whatever. I'm soaking wet. I just need to keep on going. I just need to reset and keep on moving forward.
Because it could build. I mean, one
Yep.
flat tire, that's nothing. Fix it. You're a little irritated, but then you have another flat tire. And it's like,
Yep.
fuck.
Yeah.
And now you're hungry and you don't have any more
And
food.
it's like,
Fuck.
like, like keeping that control, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like, if you stay in control, you make good decisions. You don't do something stupid that might jeopardize your entire race. You take the time to not just use a bacon strip and plug that tire. Okay, I'm going to pull out my sewing kit and I'm going to quick sew up this tire to make sure that it lasts. Because what's the point of using a bacon strip if I know it's going to fail in 300 miles and I have 600 miles left to ride? Like, I need to fix this problem now and not just like push it down the road, where I feel like in other forms of bike racing, it's like such a small amount of time where it's like, I'm going to do the thing that gets me moving the fastest and do that. Where lots of
Hmm.
times in bike pack racing, it's like, I'm going to do the thing that actually allows me to continue and not leave this for future me to deal with.
Totally. Um, and that's also like even learning how to like fix your bike.
Yep.
You're a bike mechanic, so it's pretty easy for you, but that's one
I
thing
mean,
that
there's crazy stuff that happens all the time. Like my last race at Arkansas High Country race, I had built a wheel setup before the race and did not ride that rear wheel in enough and ended up breaking spokes and had to change spokes on the side of the road.
damn.
There is nothing more frustrating than trying to true a wheel while you are racing your bike in the middle of nowhere on the side of the road, and it's like, in a perfectly climate controlled shop environment where I have all my tools and there's no pressure, no big deal. But then you're doing it on the side of the road and you're like, why